Welcome back to the Soccer Specialist podcast. Appreciate you being here. I want to talk a little bit in today's episode about taking risks or and avoiding risks and being more aggressive and why some athletes, some soccer players don't take risks. They're not aggressive. And it's look, there's definitely a personality aspect where some players are just completely aggressive from day one. It's sort of who they are. Others that are more timid, but it's also a little bit of learned behavior as well, which is what I want to talk about because a lot of times a lack of risk taking, non aggression, a lack of aggressiveness is simply a fear of both making mistakes, the consequences of those mistakes, letting down teammates, coaches, and parents, having teammates, coaches, and parents be critical or blame players for a goal that happened or even a loss that happened, which is ridiculous. And I talking to players, you absolutely don't deserve that. This is something you need to hear. But I think it's also important if you're a player who's listening to have your parent hear it. Hopefully you have a coach that understands this. But look, sometimes caring too much about what others think, it can be crippling for you. It can have a real negative impact on your performance on the pitch because you are so focused, so worried about the social approval of others instead of simply playing the game of soccer for the fun and the enjoyment and the competitiveness of it. And when you allow that other stuff to get in your head, no, you're not going to take risk. You would rather not make a good play than make a bad play and deal with the consequences of that. Again, parents, coaches, teammates, the whole thing. This is why a lot of players hide on the pitch. You can't tell a player, they feel that they can't be told or be criticized for not playing well if they actually don't do anything wrong. Now, of course, hiding and kind of standing around, which young soccer players like to believe they can hide in that way. It doesn't help you, and doesn't help you. It doesn't help your team. It doesn't help your development, and you're not playing well, obviously, and you may be hurting the team, but it's not obvious to anyone. Some coaches might get that. The one I've talked about a lot that always has driven me crazy is when the ball's on one side and your team loses it, and you may be on the other side, especially, as a midfielder, especially, and you don't get back on defense. You don't track back the way you should to be in support because the ball's all the way on the other side. And you're kind of hoping that it doesn't get down into your defensive end, that your teammates steal the ball and you don't have to make that run. And also that if the ball does get down and it gets crossed, maybe and a player scores that you should have been marking, people are going to look at the back line and at the defense instead of at you. Okay. And a lot of times also this lack of risk taking and this lack of aggressiveness, it happens a lot with perfectionists. They put a lot of pressure on themselves, not just, pressure from the outside, from teammates and coaches and so forth, but they put it on themselves so much that again, they want to focus on avoiding mistakes instead of trying to make a good play or make a positive play for the team. And it's this avoidance thinking and it's a surefire way to limit your performance in the game, but also your development. It's going to hurt you not just immediately in that game, but what a lot of people don't think of is how much it hurts long term when you're not taking those risks and those opportunities to try and do something positive for your team. The longer that goes on, the more it impacts and hurts your development as you get older. All your teammates, players you're playing against that have been doing those things, have been taking those risks, have been trying to make positive plays, they've made a lot of mistakes. They've also made positive plays, and they will become a better soccer player than you. Look, mistakes, absolutely unavoidable. Soccer is a game filled with mistakes. I think about how often one simple thing, how often there's a change of possession occurs in a game. Without mistakes, there is no opportunity for success. Without or at least without the risk of mistakes. But when without risk of mistakes, there is no success. And on top of that, mistakes are also how we learn. I had this our first we had a few, not so great seasons over 12 years. And the first one we had, in conversation, we were talking about it where we were really struggling, actually losing games. And we talked about learning from these losses and how that can help us be better long term, how it can help us be better. But, we talked about learning from mistakes. And one of my players said, and they nailed it. He said, because I asked, said, do you learn from mistakes when you win? And they were honest and they said no, because you're not thinking about mistakes you make in a game you win. You're thinking about the fact that you won, right? So in losses, mistakes seem bigger. And you're very aware of them because you lost because of them. And if you're open-minded to what that means instead of just sulking and being upset, and you learn from them, you think about what the mistakes were and what happened and what maybe you could have done, you grow and you become a better player. So one of the things you have to by understanding all that, hopefully you're taking more risk. And also you have to think that have this mindset of going forward, right? Always, when you receive the ball, you always think forward first. You think playing forward to a teammate, playing through a defensive line, playing through two defenders to play forward, getting the ball in behind the other team. That is the ultimate goal. And yes, sometimes you have to go sideways, laterally. Sometimes you have to go backwards in order to make that happen, but you always think forward first. And if that is not there, if the risk, because it's always risk reward, if the risk is too high, then yes, maybe you go laterally to a teammate or you go back to a teammate to relieve that pressure and move the defense, reset, and try and get another opportunity for going forward. Also, one thing that can help is be conscious of making runs off the ball. Constantly make runs off the ball. When you make runs off the ball, you're getting yourself involved without even really thinking about it. Be aware of getting into support positions for teammates when you're making these runs, right? Also, shoot first, pass second. When you are in a scoring area, yes, there'll be times where you say, "Oh man, shouldn't have shot that, should have passed it." But you can never go wrong with shoot first, pass second in a scoring area. I've seen far too often where players are always thinking pass first and they pass up great opportunities to score. And more often than not, they're not connecting on the pass and they're not getting a scoring opportunity anyway when they themselves could have shot. Also, what helps with being aggressive and taking risks is if you're playing offensively, it's just always attack the goal. Never assume the keeper is going to get it, or never assume the defense is going to get it when a ball is played through or there's a cross made. Always attack the goal. Always look for rebounds. Also, communicate with your team. When you're communicating with your teammates, you're not thinking about the mistakes. Your focus is elsewhere. You're focused on communicating with your teammates, helping them, and making positive plays, which of course leads into just supporting your teammates in play in general. Like I said about moving off the ball, right? Being in a support position, but also being supportive verbally with your teammates. You don't have to be out there yelling instructions and act like you're a coach. And I know some players shy away from that, but it can just be a simple word between you and a teammate at times, especially if they make a big mistake, right? And maybe it costs the team a goal, and you just go up to them and say, "Hey, shake it off. We all make mistakes. We can't do anything about that one. All we can try and do is make a good play going forward." So I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully, you got something out of this. Appreciate you listening as always. If you haven't done so, go check out impactsoccerperformance.com. It is the ultimate speed and athletic training program that is going to help you get faster, quicker, more explosive. So you're going to get to more balls, you're going to be a more dominant player and all that. Go check it out, impactsoccerperformance.com. And I'm going to leave it there and I will talk to you in the next episode.